Hey everyone, great to be joining you another week. I want to thank you, really want to thank you for all your messages in relation to the little video of Reuben. I know that many of you have contacted me on email or on WhatsApp or text messages to encourage Reuben and to say that you're praying for him. So keep that up. He's back at school and I just want you to continue your prayers for that remarkable young man. Then we've also watched Karen Adger. I want you to pray for Karen. Karen's on a move. She's moved out of the mansion. It's a big experience that she shared with us. So continue to pray for Karen. But tonight, we're joined by, I was going to say, great friends. I don't know the lady just as well as I know the gentleman, but you're going to get to know them. Some of you will know their family backgrounds. And it's wonderful tonight. They're going to share on this video how they came through a massive journey with their little daughter, Lydia. So let me introduce you to Stephen and to Ruth Reid. Hi, folks.
Hello, Marc. How's it going?
Good to see you both. Stephen, I know you slightly better than I know Ruth. Now, before we go any further, I did your wedding.
You did?
I'm married. How many years ago was that?
9 years coming in September.
9 years coming in September, and that was a wonderful day. Ballyards Castle. It was absolutely tremendous. So how's the 9 years been for you? It's not in relation to Lydia just now. Just together as a couple. Has it been good? You're both smiling anyway.
We're still together.
Good. That's great. Stephen, just very quickly, I've known you for many years. You come from a family, it's quite a big family. In biblical terms, it would be like a big family, like 12 tribes sort of family. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of 10 and I'm the third eldest.
Third eldest.
In my family, so.
Amazing. And tell me a wee bit, what do you do? Share with the folks just what you do every day.
I am a stay-at-home dad Monday to Wednesday, and then I work Thursday, Friday and Saturday as a chef with young adults with like learning difficulties.
That's amazing,
it's
Stephen.
good fun.
Absolutely amazing. And we have sampled some of Stephen's fine food and it's really, really good. Ruth,
Yes.
Lots of people will know you probably based on your dad who was a tremendous evangelist right throughout Northern Ireland and maybe even further afield. So Ruth was Ruth Painter. You have a couple of brothers. I would like you just to share. Paul's involved in a great work. Share very quickly that just for a second.
Okay. Paul with his wife Kerry have run the Christian Family Centre up in Armoy. It's a work kind of for counselling families with abusive backgrounds or drug addictions, alcohol addictions or any sort of counselling needs. So they have a centre up there where people can come in and stay with them for a period of time.
It's tremendous. And I'd love you folks just to pray for that work. It is absolutely tremendous. Ruth, we'll not talk too long about Marc because many know Marc Painter and I've heard his amazing testimony, how God transformed his life. But tell us a little bit, what do you do sort of Monday to Friday?
Okay, on Monday to Wednesday I work for the Southern Trust in Armagh. I am administration for the elderly older persons team, and then on Thursday right through the weekend I'm a mummy at home.
Brilliant. Has Stephen all the chores done in the house Monday to Wednesday? Yes, you have said that, didn't you? All the washing and ironing, absolutely. I'm sure you have. Brilliant. Right, let's just talk. You have two kids. We're going to focus tonight on Lydia. I understand that. But we've also got Joel. And I'd just like you just to mention briefly at the start just about wee Joel, his age, and he was sharing with me off camera. He's a wild man for John Deere's. John Deere. So just tell them a little bit about Joel first, and then we'll come to Lydia.
Yeah, well, Joel's 7 now, and he's just farming mad. Unbelievable. The brown boots and the jeans has to be on.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That's what I noticed straight away was the dealer boots on, and it was absolutely brilliant. So here's a big question, because I remember visiting you in hospital. So when the news came to you both, I'm going to start with Stephen, Ruth, is that okay? Because I want to hear Stephen from a father's perspective, because this is his little daughter, and then I want to hear from a mummy's heart. Stephen, when the news came to you, that diagnosis, and you can explain it, I tried to say the word lymphoblastic, is that the word?
Correct, yeah.
Is that correct?
I
couldn't say it when I was saying that you were coming on, but yes, it was acute. Just tell me, how did you feel as a father? And explain just that diagnosis and how you felt initially when you heard that.
Well, we were down in the ward at the time, and the nurse came into the room, or the doctor came into the room, and she says, we suspect it's cancer of the blood, but we don't know for certain what type of cancer until we get the results back from the bone marrow. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, no, I am not accepting that. I didn't want to believe that because, well, I wanted to believe that the next day when they went to the bone marrow result, they wouldn't find nothing. Yeah, and all would be well. But that wasn't the case. The following day came and they came back and they said, no, it's acute lymphoblastic. And just from there, it just was like, right, Lydia's going to go to the theatre to get her line in, and we just had not had time to think. It was just like go, go, go. Our first treatment was coming up and everything else. And I loved what Ruben had said last week. You know, Ruben had said, for us as parents, you always like to be in control of what your children's doing. Yeah. And when Ruben said last week, you know, he just had to take his hands off the steering wheel and let God be in control. That was just what we had to do. We just had to take our hands off the steering wheel and just let God take control and hand it over to him. So
that's amazing, Stephen.
But,
but it was just all go, everything
all
came at once, and you just had to just really get into something. That was a shock. Ruth, I always admire mummies because you carried Lydia for the full term, 9 months. So how did you feel as a mummy when you heard that news?
A lot of guilt, probably would be the best word to describe it. What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Probably was mostly the main thing that was in my head. Suppose I just wanted to justify the reason for this, and suppose because I carried Lydia for the full term and went through the birth and stuff with her, what did I do wrong? We had obviously Joel, who was perfect child and it wasn't experiencing anything like this here, and then to get news that your wee daughter was, you know, had leukaemia. In a way, Lydia was so sick for so long previous to this, and we didn't really know the reason for her being so ill. And in a way, when we were told that she had leukemia, it was good just to have a diagnosis as such. That's the way I kind of felt. I'm a planner, I'm an organiser, and I like to know what's happening. And the unknown was the hard thing, you know, the weeks previous to that. But then just when we were told that news, suppose I just was glad that we knew what we were dealing with, and that we had a plan, and this is what we had to do to get her better. But yes, as a mummy, you, as I say, even to other people and explaining to you, you felt the guilt on you that it was something that you had done, and suppose God just had to bring me through that journey to know that it wasn't.
I know this isn't one of our wee questions that we were talking about, but it's interesting you said as a mummy you felt the guilt of the illness. I've been speaking to another mother just today, actually, who feels the same way. How did you, I know this is a question that's going to be, we're going to into more depth later on. How did you deal with that guilt initially, that initial feeling of guilt? I know we can come as great Christians and say, oh, I took it to God and it was brilliant, and that's brilliant. But was there a journey, was there a process? Did you go through a process where you had to process the guilt and the feelings that you were feeling?
Yeah, well, I suppose it was the doctors. I asked questions, and I constantly just asked questions after questions just to reassure probably myself that it wasn't anything that I could have done to cause this. Obviously that doesn't leave you straight away. You have to, it takes time to get that in deep in your heart that this wasn't anything that I could have, you know, that could have done to prevent this. So yes, it did take time. And obviously by speaking to other people and the people that we've met on our hospital journeys, you know, suppose other mummies that I have been with throughout this journey, suppose spending time with them and knowing that, you know, it wasn't anything that we could have done to prevent this. Yeah,
that's amazing, Ruth. This sort of took me back when I heard how long Lydia was on chemo. Okay, 2.5 years, 2.5 years, and that when I heard that and I let that sink into me, I thought, wow, this is incredible. So I'm going to ask you, Ruth. I know you've just finished, but when you hear that word chemo, what did you immediately think? Your daughter is going to face chemo. How did you cope with that news?
I suppose obviously the experience that I would have had with chemo before, you always would have just thought it was just going to make somebody very sick. So yes, you know, as a mummy too, you don't want to see your children suffer. So you would want to do anything to take that pain away from them, to know that your child was going to have to get needles, to go to theatre, to be put under anaesthetic. All them things was just so hard to watch. You know, knowing that you couldn't do anything to take that pain away. So one thing that really did help me was another family that we were in contact with through my brother Paul. Their own grandchild had leukaemia and was past these stages. And so the encouragement that she sent through via Paul was to pray for side effects, that that there was no choice. Lydia had to go through this treatment. We asked the doctors that was there any other option that we would have had, but there wasn't any other option. This was the only option. So it's accepting that
Absolutely.
you were actually going to make your child unwell, but for the better.
Yeah, for the greater good. Yeah.
So this family had, as I said, been through all this before, and they sent an email via Paul to say that bring it to God, the side effects, that we need people to pray that Lydia will have minimum side effects, that it'll not make her sick, that there is going to be stages, her hair is going to fall out, there's things that you're going to watch, it is going to upset her wee lifestyle, but to bring that to God and to really pray for them side effects, that they will be minimum.
That's tremendous. Ruth, that's big stuff. 2.5 years. 2.5 years. And that is absolutely colossal. Stephen, you're a daddy. We're always accused as men, aren't we? Sometimes of, I don't know about you and your personality or your makeup, but how did you feel? Like, really, how did you feel? You're hearing my daughter is going to have this chemotherapy. Sure, just how you felt.
Yeah. I suppose I felt very anxious and worried, of course, but whenever the first treatment had passed and Lydia, you looked at Lydia and she was like still bouncing the room and playing, you were like, do you know what? Praise the Lord. The Lord is definitely in this. And as the next treatment as the treatments went on, Lydia was still well, and we just had to thank and praise God. And whenever there was like big high doses of chemo coming up, we knew that the church was behind us, and the church that morning was praying that she would have no side effects, and we just knew that it was an answer to prayer, that Lydia was still well. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Now, there was a question here that I want to ask you both. You can decide who wants to answer this. Obviously, I know part of the answer, we have our support in God, but who gave you the most support through this journey? Was there any particular individuals? Was there any particular cancer groups? Ruth, you referred to mummies, which is amazing because they were experiencing what you were going through. So go ahead, Stephen, I'll do you. Go on. Who gave you the support, Stephen?
I have to say our pastor, Colin Jarvis. Colin Jarvis, he's an amazing man, and he just knew what I needed when I needed it.
Hallelujah.
There was days where you just would have picked up the phone and said, right, Stephen, we're going to play basketball today, or badminton, and just to get out, just to see exercise is the mind good, just to get out and take the mind off just whatever's going around, what you're thinking of that day. And he always just knew what I needed, even if it was going for a coffee or just somebody to have a chat and a laugh with.
That's brilliant.
So I have to say our pastor.
Brilliant. Pastor Jarvis, Gordon Baptist Church.
Yeah.
That's the home church. Ruth, what about you? How did you cope? What support did you got around you?
I suppose many things. The church was a big thing. This Colin was amazing. There wasn't a week went past that he wasn't at our home or down at the hospital when Lydia was in. He was great, and it was lovely to have just even for Stephen, that man to talk to, because Stephen isn't really one to talk, but it was lovely.
Yes, that's what I was trying to tease out of Stephen there. Stephen would keep things quite to himself, wouldn't he? So,
I'm the talker, but no. So suppose I would probably really say watching Lydia was my support. It was just amazing, and the wee verse in the Bible about how the child can lead you. It's amazing, and it's they're so susceptible to things, and it's unbelievable how she just coped through everything. Yes, she was young. She was only 18 months when she was first diagnosed. She was very young. She didn't understand what was going on, but just watching her and her wee spirit, you just knew there was something special there.
Sure.
So watching her, I think probably was, because you were with her constantly. Obviously, yes, the support that we have from the hospital, the cancer charities are amazing. They're, you know, we never realised how many is out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the support that you've got, you know what I mean, to get you a family break, or just to talk to different things. There was one thing that really sat out in my mind at the start of the journey. Was there was a lady, her wee girl, we were just in on the Tuesday to the Royal Hospital, and her wee girl was in the next room. She was about 12. And we could hear this worship music going on, and we didn't know where this was coming from.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this wee girl had a very extremely long journey of cancer, and we never got to meet her, but we met the family, and they'd been through a lot. They'd been to America and stuff, and we were only in to the hospital on the Tuesday, admitted, and she died on the Friday night. And the next morning in the corridor, as I say, it's a very small wee ward, there's only 8 rooms, so you do get to know each family that is in at the time. And the lady came up to me and she just said, "The Lord will be with you, you'll get through this." And I just thought to myself, how can she say this? She's just lost her child, and she was giving me the support, and that always stuck with me, you know what I mean? And as I say, we met so many people, not as necessarily Christian people, but we met so many families that we were able to help, and they vice versa were able to help us. So suppose that was the support. You had the hospital was security, in a way. You know, when you came home, your family were there for you, yes, obviously, but the family weren't with you in the hospital. They didn't hear what the consultants were saying to you daily. You know, they weren't watching your child daily. You know, they were there to support you and help with Joel and different household tasks and things like that. But, you know, family didn't really fully understand how you were feeling. And sometimes at night you just wanted to go home and you didn't really want to talk about it anyway, you know. But just even, obviously, the family was there to support in other aspects of things with food and different things, and all them wee things really matter. So there was so much support that you would just thank so many people. That's
tremendous. That's tremendous. I'm really, really just like overwhelmed at the lady that just lost her child, giving you the support, and that's just incredible. What kept you strong? And of course, we're going to talk about your faith, I guess, in this question, aren't we? What gave you that strength, Stephen? Was there anything along the journey where you just had this really God moment? Like, I'm sure you had many God moments, but was there anything key that kept you strong, or something that came to you during that journey?
I think I always go back to what I know how to do, and that's just to praise and to worship God. And like there's so many good courses and hymns out there, and a lot of Christian music. And see, just even to get into the car and nobody else is there, and just to really shout out
hallelujah,
those truths that you be singing, you know, my God saves, and those songs talk about his salvation, they talk about his healing, you know, they talk about all those truths, all those promises, and it's just, I think that's what kept me going. I was just shouting them out.
Praise the Lord. That's
you know,
amazing.
So
brilliant, Steve.
I'd always say just praise and worshiping God, and even just singing to that wee CD through it all.
I've learned to trust in Jesus.
Yep.
Is that a good CD?
That's a good CD.
That's a good CD.
Look, do you know what? It's got the shelf now.
Yeah. But isn't it good, folks, to know that through it all, if you know Jesus Christ, and this is the whole point of us just sharing together, we want you to get to know this Jesus Christ, and he is the anchor, isn't he? He is the rock. And it's just incredible. And I've learned just over my own journey that when your back's against the wall, he becomes more precious to you, doesn't he? He just becomes more real. So Stephen, you can truly say, in everything, give thanks.
Give thanks, yeah.
Isn't that your motto, really? In everything, give thanks, no matter what circumstance. And you were up against it. Like, I mean, this was your daughter, but you still praised and you still worshipped. Ruth, again, from your perspective, a mother, what way did you...
Well, it wasn't as easy as that for me. Obviously, being brought up in a Christian home, you had the truth of the Bible in you, but it was difficult to pray. It was. Them nights in the hospital, you felt so alone. You know, Lydia was in her cot sleeping and everything was quiet. But I can say God, even though I felt it was so hard to pray, there was truths that came up inside me that I have had from a child that just,
amazing.
God just reunited them in me. So suppose that I kept a journal. There was a girl I spoke to, and she sent me a wee present of a journal, and that gave me the strength just to know. Not necessarily, it wasn't of how I was feeling, just of maybe words that God, through my daily readings, helped me along the way and things like that. There was ups and downs. There was times that journey from Stephen and I would have done alternate nights, and that journey from Belfast to home to Dungannon felt the loneliest. But in another way, it was the most precious time as well, because you could just cry out, you could just turn the CD up, you could just do whatever nobody was saying to you. There was times you were so tired you couldn't do that journey, and in them days the Lord provided lifts for us, things like that there. But there was ups and downs in it. Definitely, it wasn't easy. I think when you're faced with things like this, I think it's very hard to pray. But God knows your heart, and I think He, as you just cry out to Him, he knows how you feel.
Yeah, and it's important, Ruth, bringing out, it says that the Spirit makes intercession for us with groanings that cannot be uttered. That's what the scriptures say, and I can understand that, because when you're up against it, you can find it so difficult just to make connection with God. And I'm always reminded of Psalm 13 when David, a man after God's own heart, David actually said, Lord, how long are you going to forget me? Like, are you even out there? You listen to me, and there's sometimes like that. Now, before we meet the miracle, okay, and Joel, another miracle, before we meet that, and I know, visiting even and being in cancer centres and hospitals, the Allen ward, different wards, there are many families going through this. Like, I'm just hearing every day, I think statistics now say 1 in 2 be affected by this. Can you both just take a little bit of time just to speak out to families that are going through something right now, especially if it relates to their children? Just give them a wee bit of advice or a wee bit of encouragement. Why are you looking at Ruth, Stephen? No, absolutely. No, whoever wants to. Go ahead.
Suppose what I could say is take all the support that you can get. Obviously, each journey is completely different. You go into that hospital, and there was many days we came away just so blessed that things weren't as bad as maybe other people. Not blessed is not the right word, but you seen that your situation was bad, yes, but there is people out there worse. We had the Lord, which was a great strength to get us through this. And I'm speaking to anyone that doesn't have the Lord. I don't know how you could go through life without it, but we just urge you tonight just to really put your trust in the Lord. He was our strength, and He was the one that got us through, and that's all we can say. Many trials and tribulations come in all shapes and forms to each and every one of us. But without the Lord, there is no hope, and you need that hope. The hope just takes away all fear. It gives you that peace that passes all understanding. So we just urge you tonight just to trust. And there is people out there praying for you. Yeah. And there's so many support groups, so just take hold of anybody that wants to help you and just really accept that.
That's right, Ruth. And I think sometimes when you're in that vulnerable place, it's hard to accept help sometimes. I don't know if you find that you feel I don't know, there's some sort of emotion rises up in you that you do think there's other people worse, but we would absolutely implore upon you, get all the help and don't be afraid to ask for help. Stephen, finish off with a real good gospel challenge, man. Come on, a real good. Ruth, give us something there, but we need the Lord, don't we, Stephen?
We do indeed.
We need the Lord.
Indeed. And I love that story. It's found in the Bible, and I think it's in 2 Chronicles. King Jehoshaphat. Yeah. There was 3 armies had risen up against him, and he did not know what to do. But he got a word from the Lord to go out and for the men in the front to sing and to praise unto the Lord. And those they didn't even have to raise a sword or anything. It was God that fought the battle for them. And he ended up confusing the enemy, and they turned against themselves, and not one of them survived.
That's right.
Every single one of them died. So we would just really it'd be our prayer for you that God would just confuse this cancer or this disease in your body, that it would turn against itself, and that one single cell will be left alive.
Amen.
And that you will be healed.
Right.
That is our prayer for you.
We're in agreement with that. Now, we're going to bring Lydia and Joel up, okay? So we're going to call them. They're in a wee back room somewhere, aren't they, Stephen? We'll bring Lydia and Joel up. In the meantime, I'll just say this. Thank you for being vulnerable tonight and sharing your story, genuinely. I have thought many times, I just can't get my head around it. A child, your child, and it's been amazing just to hear your journey. So folks, continue to pray for the Reid family. And here is a couple coming now. And this is Joel. Joel's taking off the spectacles so you can get a good look at him. Joel, come on ahead, sit in here. And here is Lydia. Go ahead. Do you want to go and sit beside Mum? So very quickly before we finish, Lydia, did God do something in your life? Amazing.
Yeah.
Did he heal you?
Yeah.
Now look at that camera and smile like a basket of chips. Big smile. Come on. And just tell them that God healed you. You just say, God healed me.
God healed me.
Amen. And Joel, you, before we finish, you look into the camera and say, Fords are the best tractor.
No, we're not.
What do you mean they're not? What is the best tractor out there?
John Deere.
John Deere. That's good. Folks, from the Reid family, from me, join us next week. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, this isn't about numbers. I've said this. But this is about real life stories and about what Christ means to families and to individuals. Next week, Lee McClelland is going to join me, and you all have probably heard a bit of his story, but he's going to talk about his fight with cancer, his fight with COVID, and how God sent a cleaner. In the meantime, we're praying for you, we love you, and just say bye, Reid family.
Bye.
God bless you.